Clayton Lane asked his father to come work for the family business. The response was, well, go learn the ropes elsewhere and come back when you're ready.
Graduated college, I asked to go work for him because I wanted to see if the company was something that I wanted to do. And he just told me no. He said, absolutely not. Go work somewhere else and then come work for us.
Clayton came back ready and helped grow the family business into a $20 million company, which eventually led to a private equity acquisition. Listen in. Hey, welcome to the podcast, Clayton. Appreciate having you in here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Been a journey at James Lane. You're going back all the way to your great-grandfather in the 50s. Is that right?
That's right. Back in 1957, my grandfather started it with just him and his wife and a pickup truck.
Him and his wife in a pickup truck in the 50s, though. I already noticed on some really cool old photos on the website that they had to grow relatively quickly, even in the 50s, because they had some photos of mid-50s pickup trucks with like 8 or 10 employees already.
They did. They grew pretty quickly. And actually, a few years ago, I found a 1957 Chevy pickup, and we're restoring it to be able to do deliveries and kind of parades and stuff like that too. So we're outfitting it in a HVAC kind of type way as well. So
I love that. I'm actually a car guy by heart. And I was immediately drawn to all those old photos of like Econoline vans and 50s Apache pickup trucks that you guys had in your old photos. And in my head, I'm always picturing those out back rusting away in a field in the tall grass. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. You probably had to chase one down and pay way more than it was worth to get one to go into the parades.
We did. We had to pay more than we wanted to, but it's a beautiful truck.
Yeah, well, I'm excited. I want to see pictures of that when it's done. So in the 50s, he's already realizing like, hey, there's some room here. And I know I'm talking to a guy who wasn't around in the 50s to see this growth. But do you have any idea like what the background was there or how that all started?
He worked for Coca-Cola, and then he was in the Navy, where he learned air conditioning and refrigeration. And then he got out and worked for Paul Shire Engineering for a little bit, and then decided to go out on his own and start his own air conditioning company. And so it was just, like I said, him and my grandmother in a pickup. And from there, they started hiring a few employees, and eventually their 3 kids all joined and the business, and they ran it for many years. My father, my aunt, and my uncle. And then my father retired probably about 3 years ago and handed it down to me.
So is this in the 1950s? Do you know, is your grandfather probably what, in his 30s?
Probably.
Yeah. So he's in his 30s. He's starting his plumbing. And just for a little background, you guys are northwest of Dallas. Is that accurate or not accurate?
We're northwest of Dallas, about 2 hours, and we're just kind of along the Texas-Oklahoma border.
So Wichita Falls specifically is where you are, so you don't even probably have to venture into Dallas because the population sprawl is probably so predominant. You know, has it always been that way, or are you going into Dallas?
We are not going into Dallas very much. However, we're kind of the largest city there is between Dallas and Amarillo. So we do travel and have a lot of windshield time just between all of the rural cities there are between Dallas and Amarillo to be able to pick up about a 2-hour radius around us.
So when they started in the 50s, you said that your grandfather was in the AC. When he was in the Navy, he learned the AC trade. Mm-hmm. And then obviously the plumbing kind of fell into place. Your dad, his brother, and his sister come into play then probably in the late 60s, early 70s?
That's right.
Okay, so they come in and you're already doing plumbing and AC at that time?
We started doing plumbing in 1985, where we purchased a plumbing company.
So plumbing came a lot later.
It did come a lot later. Yeah, but it was a natural fit. A lot of places in Wichita Falls are really kind of just focused on one thing and one thing only, and not many companies did more than one thing. And so it was kind of a new thing to have a plumbing and air conditioning kind of company.
So you got into plumbing through acquisition. Did I catch that?
We did, yes.
Did you acquire a big company, small company?
Very small company, just 2 or 3 people, and basically just brought them on board on their customer list. And then you grew the
plumbing out of that small acquisition?
Yes. Yeah.
The small acquisitions sometimes are a lot easier simply because you're not really buying a company. You're kind of buying someone's profession, so to speak. You know, you're getting the expertise and the customer list, but you're not having to pay, a 6 or even 7-figure or 8-figure price tag for it. So at the time in, what'd you say, 85, that was probably the smart way to do it.
Really, I think so. And to be able to get into something through acquisition, I think is a lot easier because you're purchasing the vehicle, you're purchasing the tools and equipment, the person that knows how to do it. So you're not starting from scratch. You've got a department, albeit small, that knows how to already run calls and go and do its thing. And the guy that came with us is still with us today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So go back to 85, and you've really, at that point, you're just, plumbing has to be by far the smallest portion of the business. The AC, it had grown on AC for 30 years, let's call it.
Yeah.
You pick up plumbing. How quickly did the plumbing take off then?
It really took a lot of time for it to take off completely. Now, I was born in 85, so I don't know the exact history of kind of how it evolved over time. I just know that I graduated college in 08, and that's when I came to work for the business. Plumbing was still relatively small at that time.
In 08?
In 08, yeah. It was probably about 5 or 6 technicians.
So percentage-wise, I'm not going to make you predict then or go back to then because you already said you didn't know. What is the breakdown? Because you guys also do like fire suppression systems or fire control.
We do fire suppression, fire alarm, fire extinguisher, and fire sprinkler.
So what is the breakdown of those three? Let's call those 3 divisions. I would assume you probably run them independently as well to some degree.
Yeah, we run them individually. The breakdown is probably be about, well, we do, let me think of how to explain this. So we do commercial and residential.
And you break those apart too? So you basically got 6 divisions?
We have actually 20 financial divisions that we track.
Well, that keeps things simple.
Yeah, so it's a little all over the place. About 46% of what we do is commercial work. Another 30% is residential, and then the rest is fire.
Oh, and then the rest is fire. So you're at 76. So you're at 24% is fire.
About right.
So you guys, you diversify into the plumbing in 85. You're already in the AC, and you always have been. How does the fire come into play?
So fire is one of those things that's always been required. So you have to have your fire sprinkler system inspected and tested every year. It's a requirement by the state of Texas, by your insurance company, by the fire marshal. We had dabbled into it a little bit before I got there, just because it's plumbing, it's pipes and water. We understand pipes and water. So we were doing a little bit of inspections. When I graduated and came to the company, my father said to me, he said, this is something that we're doing. We don't know exactly if we're doing it right. Are we doing it to the full potential that we can? Figure it out, get certified, go work in the field, see how they do it, develop it, promote it, see if you can't build something out of it. And
so in 08, he brought you on specifically to grow the fire aspect of the business.
Correct. Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, when I graduated college, I asked to go work for him because I wanted to see if the company was something that I wanted to do. And he just told me no. He said, absolutely not. Go work somewhere else and then come work for us. So I had to go work at another mechanical contractor's company down in Waco and work there for a little bit before I could come back and work for the family business.
Well, working family is always an interesting dynamic, good and bad, I think is probably a fair statement. So maybe he was trying to get rid of some of that nepotism right off the bat to make you realize, like, hey, when you come in here, you'll know what it tastes like to be somewhere else first.
Oh, absolutely. And I worked that summer and roughed in chill water lines and did my fair share of under houses and buildings and attics. And I gained a very good appreciation for what everyone goes through. Yes.
Are there other lanes still involved with the business, meaning from your generation?
No, just me.
So right now it's just you, your dad is still involved, you said, right?
No, he retired 3 years ago. My aunt still works part-time, just collecting bills basically. But she enjoys it. And then I've got 2 partners.
Time is running out. Are you registered for North America's premier wastewater event? The Wet Show is just around the corner, happening February 17th to the 20th in Indianapolis. Don't miss your chance to explore an expansive expo hall, discover the latest products and services, network with industry peers, and attend accredited sessions for continuing education hours. Register now before it's too late at wetshow.com. That's WWETT show.com. At Service Titan, we know running a contracting business is hard work. With our all-in-one solution for the trades, managing your business needs from scheduling to invoicing is easier than ever. Learn how Service Titan gives you the tools to keep your business running smoothly. Visit servicetitan.com. Once again, that's servicetitan.com.
So you come in '08 and they basically task you with growing this fire division. So, I mean, the internet is already pretty robust at that time. So you've got that in play. What's your strategy when your dad tasks you with, hey, good luck here?
Yeah, first thing is get in the field. Just go and ride with the technicians. Go start turning some wrenches, getting some pipe in the air, learning how they do stuff, and then get certified myself. So my first thing was to get NICET certified in fire sprinkler inspections, and then just basically I got a list of all commercial properties with fire sprinkler systems from our local tax appraisal office. And I just started down that list, hitting them up about, hey, it's required to get your sprinkler system installed or inspected each year, and this is what we do. And just kind of grew it from a part-time thing that our plumbers would do part-time to having a full-time inspector, to having 2 full-time inspectors. And then from there.
So I want to pause you for a second because I think you hit on something kind of interesting there. The list, because they're required to have a state inspection, is probably public record. So that helped you out a little bit.
It is, yeah.
So you can request that public record sometimes with a small fee, and then you all of a sudden have essentially a customer list.
Exactly. And then we did mail outs, and then I did some phone calls, just some showing up, just grinding it out.
Did you have a dedicated salesperson at that point, or that was part of your role?
That was part of my role. It was just me.
Okay, so you're calling these places and they're like, yeah, come do our inspection, and it's growing organically then right from the get-go because of that?
Yeah, pretty much. They either weren't getting inspected then, or they didn't know, or they were using someone out of Dallas. And I was like, if you're using someone out of Dallas, we can beat that.
Yeah, that's not very efficient. How could they possibly not know, or the inspection's not happening?
I had to work with the fire marshal at the time to make sure that we were tactfully making sure that the business owners knew the responsibility that they had to have it inspected. So enforcement comes from insurance companies. Sometimes they, don't enforce that really. The other parts, the fire marshal needs to kind of know which ones were being inspected, which ones weren't being inspected.
So enforcement isn't the responsibility of a local entity. It's a quote unquote responsibility of the insurance company.
The insurance companies probably were better enforcers than the fire marshal.
Surprises me.
Yeah, he had a lot more other stuff on his plate at the time. And they didn't have a system in place to check and make sure that they were being inspected. They have since implemented a software that kind of tracks all those things now.
That was my next question, because the other thing that I've known government entities to do, especially in the septic world, when they realize there's a revenue stream there, in other words,
oh yes,
the penalty for non-inspection is $300 times 1,000 companies,
yeah,
or 100 companies. So they've since evolved to enforcing their own inspection.
That is correct. They've got a online software that we upload inspections to that flags when certain ones are not being inspected. But by the time they had that implemented, we had 90% of the business in town because we were basically the only people doing it.
So you're getting your hands dirty for the first several years, actually installing systems and things like that. At some point, I'm guessing you probably shift into more of an office type role where you're overseeing.
Right. After about a year.
Time frame on that?
Yeah, about a year working in the field, and then after that, I started more transitioning to the office, trying to grow the sales side of everything.
Who's running the plumbing and AC side at that point?
We had a service manager that was running both departments. About, I want to say 2014 or 2015, up until then, we had a service manager that was running air conditioning and plumbing. And the problem is that he was an AC guy, through and through. And plumbing wasn't getting the attention that it needed. They kind of always felt a little bit like they just want a stepchild. I didn't want to say that, but I feel like that's kind of the terminology.
If we get in trouble for saying stepchild, we got other problems.
Yeah. So we had a mixed group. We were part of a mixed group, and we had some people come in and determine, hey, made a recommendation. Y'all need a plumbing manager, and it was at that time I said, well, they think that Clayton should probably do that, since he's already dealing with fire sprinkler and pipes and water, and I already had my apprentice card for many years, and worked in the field. So I started working in the field again a little bit, learning the plumbing trade, and then became manager of the plumbing department, and then started trying to grow that as well with the fire sprinkler side.
Didn't you tell me that the person you had acquired the plumbing side from is still actually involved in the business?
He is.
How come he wasn't the go-to in this situation?
He quickly rose. He did a lot of commercial work and quickly rose to being the field manager for our commercial division.
Okay. And but that was someone you could at least lean on a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have. And I still do. He's a wealth of knowledge.
So I can't remember. I think you just told me this was 2015's.
Probably about right.
Plus or minus. So now you get involved, you shift from doing just fire, so to speak, into fire and plumbing. Mm-hmm. So what size is the company in this 10 years ago? Is it, whether you want to gauge that on people or revenue or whatever you're most comfortable with?
We were probably doing $1 million in revenue in plumbing. And it was probably about 5 guys.
And that was residential only, though, correct?
We were doing commercial as well, commercial service.
Got it. So that was total plumbing revenue.
Yeah.
Okay. So then where is it going? So what is the timeline from 2015 to, let's just run it to 2021, because in 2021 something's going to happen and I don't want to talk about that just yet.
Yeah. So first thing I did was hire a bunch of apprentices.
Hold on. The first thing I did is hire a bunch of apprentices. You make that sound like you threw an ad in the paper and a dozen guys showed up, because I guarantee it didn't go like that.
No, it did not. I went through a lot of people. I learned a lot about interviews and finding the right people. I will tell you my secret sauce for finding people in the trades is I focus my search, my marketing on the smaller towns around me. And I tell you, because there's a lot of smaller towns around Wichita Falls that are farm, ranch, dairy, and those kids that grow up in that environment, they have a work ethic.
It's kind of in them since birth.
It is. And they know what it's like to get up at 5 a.m. and go milk cows.
Yeah, Wisconsin has a similar. I don't know if you want to call it it's not a stereotype. I don't know what word I'd be looking for, but you're right. There is definitely that trait there. So you discover this. It takes you a while, I'm guessing, to figure this out.
It takes me a couple years to figure this out. That my best people did not come from Wichita Falls,
and they were just farm kids.
Yeah, just farm kids who, either didn't want to go into their family farm or wanted to try something else, or just looking for a career in something. And
so, to be a plumbing apprentice, can you hire somebody with no quote unquote credentials and you give them the apprenticeship they need, or how does that work in Texas?
Yeah, so they have no hours, no experience. We apply for their plumber apprentice card, and so that's when your hours start. You need 4,000 hours for your tradesman license to do residential, so you need 2 years under your belt.
Once you give them those hours, is retention harder then, because they recognize they have value to others?
No, because we've got to pay more than other people in town, and we've got to get some golden handcuffs on them. Get
So
them a
you've
good health.
recognized that you got to take care of them to keep them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Get them into a 401k early, so they've got building equity within your company and for themselves, and get them some good health insurance and some great PTO that advances over time. And so by the time they're there for 2 years, they're getting 2-3 weeks off a year. They've got some money invested in their 401k. They've got all these things with the company.
So they feel like they have a career, not just a job.
100%.
Another question I have is, are you guys a flat rate shop then? So is there some type of commission structure built into your service people too, or no?
We are not. We are doing some flat rates. We flat rate water heaters. We flat rate a few other things. We're trying to get more into flat rate. I think it's the future. I think it's good for the customer. It's good for the business. You have the pricing up front. They get approval up front. We are flat rate on the HVAC side, and it works out great. It's just a transition that we're going through, just trying to bite off one piece at a time.
Sure. So now you're growing this plumbing division. You've figured out kind of like the secret sauce to finding some good apprentices in the plumbing side. This was 2015. There's a couple of years there. Like what does plumbing look like 5 years later by 2020?
2.2 million. We doubled in size pretty quick.
A little more than double.
Yeah. So
okay. So and then is that breakdown? You had given me a 46-30 breakdown prior. Is that breakdown kind of always the same then, or was plumbing way smaller at one point and then now it's gaining a piece of that pie?
It was smaller at one point and it's great gaining a piece of that pie. It added another 5% or whatever to it. But our company has grown from 22 million to 30 million over the last 4 or 5 years. So
2020, you just said plumbing was $1 million, or was $2.2 million. So you're doing another 18 in fire and HVAC?
We're doing 5 in fire. We're doing 7 in HVAC.
This is 2020 numbers or current numbers?
Current numbers, yeah.
Okay. So the reason I'm asking numbers, and we don't have to talk specific numbers if it's uncomfortable, but in 2021, the family business was acquired.
That's correct. Yeah.
So what brings this on? Are you guys approached by an outside entity, or is everyone just like at this point, seen enough?
2020 was a really good year. I think for a lot of people in the trades, it was a good year. At the time, my father and my aunt had ownership of the business. Back in 2018, they started selling shares to me and 3 other partners. And the only way to transition ownership of a company of a company of the size doing 20 million a year is to basically loan money to your incoming partners, and then they pay it back with the dividends that they receive.
Because it's out of reach. Because there's no way to finance that out of your savings.
There's no way to finance that kind of cash to purchase a company of that size. So we were gifted 10% each into the company, and then we paid back the cost of that with the dividends over the next few years. And so we paid back 10% by 2020. And I knew that private equity was doing a lot of multiples for EBITDA at that time. We had just had our best year we've ever had. And so we were kind of curious what that would look like had we go through acquisition. My father was ready to retire. And we still kind of had a long road ahead of us. We had purchased 40% of the company. We still had a lot more to go, and the company was becoming more profitable, which is driving up, price for the next few shares and everything. So one of our mixed group companies had gotten acquired. So we had talked to them. It worked out really good for them. We had got a price from that company, And then I went out and found another company to get just a comparable price just to see what it would come in at. And it was more, and it was a better fit culture-wise for us. And we, after many hard discussions and late nights talking about it, we decided to join Fidelity Building Services Group.
So what is a plumbing, or I'm gonna just say plumbing multiple, but what does a service industry like you're in, which is HVAC, fire, and plumbing, what is a multiple? What is a typical multiple? Back then, may not be the same now.
Between 4 and 5.
Okay, that's exactly what I would have guessed, and it's still similar. So this is hard, probably just because of the history of the company, and also sometimes private equity has a tendency to promise one thing and deliver something else when all is said and done. But this was 4 years ago, and you're still sitting there. So this obviously must have a happy ending.
It does. We really vetted them on culture and a fit that was not going to come in and change everything that we did. And we made that very firm up front that we're doing things the way that we're doing, and we're successful doing them. And we want that control. And I'm happy to say, they've given us that control of running the company and, sponsoring events that I want to sponsor. And I'm not really micromanaged, or, they're not trying to make a bunch of changes. Or now there are some things that we've got to do to fold into the platform, but, we're still running a great profitable business, and we've got a great partnership.
Do they basically look at all of their acquisitions as separate entities? Just a minute ago, you said you're not on flat rate pricing. I would think when an acquisition company comes in like that, they're going to look at XYZ branch and they're kicking your ass on, maybe margins or something like that. They're not trying to push off what works in Fort Worth should be working in Dallas. There's none of that.
No, there's really not. They understand that every market is different, and that your market better than anyone else. Also, the other companies in our organization don't do a lot of residential. They're mostly commercial. So we're one of the few that does residential in our group.
Is there some opportunities that were introduced there too as well? I mean, because you obviously now have a large amount of capital at your disposal. Are you able to, look at equipment differently, or look at personnel differently, or does none of that change?
All of it changes. Our health insurance got immensely better overnight because we're able to negotiate on 2,000 people instead of
economy of scale.
Yeah. Pricing got better. Just being able to bundle all of the companies together. And then the first thing that we did that I've wanted to do for a long time was do some acquisitions. And we acquired a fire extinguisher company. We acquired 2 actually in town to give us a 99% market share of the fire extinguisher side.
Because you had capital readily available without having to go and essentially apply for it.
Exactly.
Well, that to me would be a huge advantage, especially when your mentality is growth, like a growth-based mentality. And sometimes the easiest way to do that is through acquisition versus organic, and which the acquisition can lead to even better organic growth which is what you guys have been doing since 1985. So,
right. And so the big picture goal is to do fire sprinkler, fire alarm, and fire extinguisher, all your life safety bundled together. And in Wichita Falls, they're all 3 separate companies. But if you could create one company that did all of your required fire safety with the same technicians instead of 3 separate technicians, that's the goal. That's the secret to creating a great profitable business there. And so we wanted to get into extinguishers and alarms. And so through acquisition, that just made it all that much easier to do.
Well, and so I think your point is it's that much more efficient for everybody, both the person providing the service and the person receiving it.
Correct.
One-stop shop. To go backward a little bit, talking about the acquisition and economies of scale, you had talked about, health insurance, obvious. What about things like inventory, like parts you're inventorying? Is that shared company-wide, or how does that work?
No, inventory is still done individually.
Because Because wouldn't that be a huge opportunity? Again, you're buying PVC elbows. Why would you purchase them individually if you could go in as a company? And I guess this is just not worth the savings or the hassle of trying to figure it out.
Probably to divvy it up between all the companies and who's purchasing how many from where and what they're getting. Yeah, and that's maybe something that they're going to work on next.
Well, there's what are called like managed inventory type setups now through a lot of supply houses. And I would think, especially in a venture capital setup where you've got a parent company, if you could do your managed inventory setup through the parent,
yeah,
I would think there'd be some significant savings there. And I won't even ask for a cut if you introduce this and you look like the guy.
I think it's a great idea. I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah, I don't know Texas. I know on the West Coast specifically, there's a lot of managed inventory type setups. And the parent supply house, but I don't know what it looks like when there's children, so to speak. But I would still think if you ran it through the parent, because the managed inventory system, basically, if you buy too many elbows, they take them back.
Right.
So it might be a good opportunity for you.
I think it would be good. I know they've negotiated some better rates with some of the bigger supply houses, just in general, Ferguson's and everything to just cut down on some of that.
So what does the structure of the company look like now? What is your title?
President.
So you're president of, and I noticed they kept the name still as James Lane.
Yes. So
they don't even come in and mess with their name. You keep your identity because that makes sense. You were there for 50, 60 years. And then the first thing a lot of places do is they look at the payroll and they say, well, we certainly don't need Clayton anymore because we got other guys that can do this. But they didn't do that.
No, they wanted to keep everything the same. We were, like I said, a good profitable company, and they want to keep everything remaining good profitable company. And people are hard to come by, hard to find.
Do you have to run things up a totem pole, or do you have still call it complete control?
I have a delegation of authority where I'm able to make certain decisions within a certain parameter. Day-to-day business operations, 100% make those. If I make a big purchase or need a bunch of new vehicles or something like that, then I've got to run them up the pole.
So is there no corporate policy on things like equipment expenditures, meaning we replace our vehicles every 3 years? Or again, that's still done at I'll call it the local level, your level.
I make the decisions on which vehicles to replace and how many we need new vehicles for growth and all that stuff. And they have a fleet group within the organization that I just tell them what vehicles I need, and they go find the best prices and they go and get the vehicles for me.
Got it. So you're basically probably sending in like a wish list or Got it. Okay.
Yeah, I send the list every year and they just go and get all the vehicles and get them wrapped.
Stay and work with tools and equipment?
No, we still get those locally, tools and equipment. There's some things like, scissor lifts and stuff like that and forklifts that we'll get through fleet.
Do you guys do drain cleaning or TV inspection at all, or just strictly plumbing?
We do.
So you are involved in the drain cleaning and TV inspection side of things too?
Absolutely.
Have you always been, or is that something?
Yeah, we've always been.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just kind of went hand in hand with plumbing?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We've got a nice hydrojet machine, hot jet machine that we use quite a bit, and plenty of camera sewer inspection equipment and everything.
So you're 4 years into basically having an owner group. What does growth look like, or the future look like when, in your shoes? Are you in this for the long haul and it's just a job, or do you still feel like it's kind of still your company?
I still feel like it's my company. My first name is James, so it's still, my name is on the billboard, really. My son's name is James, so it's still a family company in my mind. I still treat it like it's my own, and I love what I do and want to continue to do it.
So your 10-year plan is like just keeping this going, helping it grow.
Absolutely. I love the people I work with. I love our technicians. So really I work for them, and I just see this as a great partnership to help us give more benefits to our guys, some more support to our office, some room for growth, advancement. We're going to get into controls, and they're going to help us get more into controls. That just creates more revenue streams, but also creates more career advancement for our guys.
At what point do you run into a brick wall trying to grow a company like yours, and you just you flatten out? Do you feel like that's a possibility?
I think it could be in certain divisions, but I think in general there's still a lot of room for growth, especially in the fire protection industry, and in the mechanical commercial side controls. I feel like there's still a lot of companies that come out of Dallas to our town that perform maintenance and different work that we could be doing, that we should be doing, and that we can kick them out.
After having gone through an acquisition, what's your biggest piece of advice to somebody who might be sitting in the same type of situation right now?
Culture fit. You've got to make sure you're aligned on culture and what the plan is, and that you can see yourself working with and for these people for the foreseeable future. You've got to be simpatico with them, and make sure that the expectations are the same of your vision and their vision for you. And
be sure that that's the truth. I mean, and for lack of a better way to put it, anytime you're dealing with a sales situation, you're the acquisition, they're buying you. Sometimes, sales is a lot of telling you what you want to hear. How do you get through that?
There's some faith involved, I'm sure, in just how things are going to operate. But I think just going back.
Trust. I guess you're saying, there has to be some element of trust, like trust who you're talking to.
You do. And just go with your gut on what you think is right. And talk to a bunch of the other companies. If they don't want you talking to them, that's a problem.
That's a red flag.
Yeah, right. I talked to a few other guys, and how'd it go? And what working for you, what's not working for you, there are always pain points when you join and go through acquisition, trying to merge into a platform. But if they're the right people, they're going to get through it, and they're going to support you, and they're going to make it easy.
Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks for giving us the perspective on what it looks like to be a third-generation plumber who's in a successful company even after a buyout, which a lot of times isn't the case. But I'm happy to see that this one worked out.
Yeah, we're excited. We're happy too.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Learn more about James Lane and their services at jameslane.com. Please be sure to like and subscribe to keep more of this great content coming.